Ross.
Sorry, just to let you know, since Neil resigned two weeks ago, the rules are that the Vice Chairman has to chair the meeting. That will be Sue Worrell, until the annual general meeting of the Council, which is held in May. So our May meetings are annual general meeting when we always elect a Chairman and a Vice Chairman. So the Vice Chairman would have carried on. Now, due to unforeseen circumstances, Sue Worrell has decided she no longer wishes to be Vice Chairman, and consequently she would normally be Chairman in May, because that's how it sort of works here traditionally. She doesn't want to do that. But she'd already asked Polly if she was standing as her Vice Chairman for next year. So Polly stepped up to the plate and said, well look, I'll run the meetings for the next 3 months, whatever it is, until May, if the councillors are happy, and then she will stand as Chairman or Chair of the Council in May, and hopefully will be elected then, and it's a 2-year position, and then it's Polly's to nominate a Vice Chair. So that's why Polly's chairing the meeting. As long as you're all happy, because it has to be approved by the council before we can start. If somebody else wants to have a go, please say now.
I propose that Polly chairs.
Yeah, I'll second that.
That sounds lovely. So that's what. So how about 7, Madam Chairman?
Okay, lovely. Well, thank you, and welcome to the Wedmore Parish Council meeting on the 19th of February. Right. So we'll start with the agenda. Have we got any apologies?
Yes, we have. Apologies from Adrian Fear and Sue Worrell. I'm told that Matt Angel will be late as well. So
yes, Joe's
here to do it.
Excellent, thank you. Right, reports from county and district councillors. So David, over to you please.
Well, Chairman, I'm stunned, but congratulations on your rapid ascent to power.
Yeah, it's like 2 years too early.
Were you standing still when everybody else jumped back with their little volunteers? But congratulations, and I'm sure you'll do a splendid job.
Thanks.
A couple of local things across my desk, and some breaking news from County Hall. So, firstly, the local things that have continue to come across my desk and indeed have filled my inbox, as I'm sure probably burnt a few people's ears here, is the traffic issues outside Hugh Sexy's school. We all know there's not an instant solution for it, otherwise it would have been done a long time ago. But I'm sure we're all working to a solution, if there is one, because it is Hugh Sexy's is actually quite proactive, because at least they have a one-way system that people seem to sort of keep to, and they have some method of getting the pupils and the cars off the road, unlike Mark, which is, as we know, is chaos, and pretty much every other school, primary school I have in my division, because most primary schools in my division now are not filled with pupils from the village, so they're all bussed in, or in most cases individually driven in by their parents, which makes a tremendous problem for everybody, but I may be able to touch on that a little bit later. So, so breaking news from the County Council, because today was Budget Day. So, you know, our leader was very keen to make a bit of a splash today, should I say? So the first thing that I can tell you is that we're going to roll out a programme of 20-mile-an-hour speed limits outside all our primary schools. Now, some of my primary schools have already got that, you know, the 20 minutes, the 20 mile an hour while the school signs flash sort of issue. But we're going to roll that out again across the county, and we will get on with that. That's a relatively inexpensive, although, well, it's all relatively inexpensive in county council terms, a couple of million quid, I suppose. We're going to, the government have decided that they're going to put more money into buses, and on top of the government's money, we have decided off our own bat to put some of our reserves, a couple of million quid, into rural buses. So we're going to improve the Slinky system and actually buy more of those new buses that actually my colleagues keep getting jealous of me, but all those nice new county council buses that you see running around here are actually part of our programme. And I see it's on your agenda a little later, but the climate emergency issues, which you will know, Polly, the county and the districts have been working quite closely together to to come up with a strategy, although we all know it's probably a global issue, but there is things that we can do. I'm sure there are things we can do locally. The County Council have jumped the gun a little bit. We're still working a strategy out with the District Council, but we thought we would see how proactive our communities were, and we've today set up a fund of £1 million, which is available to parish and town councils for green climate emergency issues. So that will be of great importance, and I'm sure a community like Wedmore will grasp that nettle and be very well organised and positive. So we hope to get some money for you out of that. And last but not least, the small improvement schemes, which have stopped and started for some time, and the nearest one to you that I've got in the pipeline, which will be finished, is a small improvement scheme outside Mark's school. But I'm conscious of the fact, and we were all conscious of the fact, discussions we've had earlier and previously about the need for some traffic calming coming into the village from Cheddar. There's a new window for schemes opening in the autumn. So I'm very happy to support whatever you as a parish decide to come up with, and I think you're very proactive, and I think your plans are well ahead. So happy to take all those away, leave you with those. Please don't ask me any details because they've only just been announced, these schemes, at about 2 o'clock this afternoon.
Lovely, thank you. Any questions? Suzanne?
Can I ask a question? The county council buses that you've got, how are they used when not ferrying school children? Or are they being bought only to ferry school children?
Well, they were originally put. I suppose the history, without breaching any confidences in front of the television cameras, the history of buses goes back quite some time, when councils always used to run their own buses, and then we decided that it would be much better if we had some competition with that, and the private sector are always going to be more efficient than us. But they're only more efficient than us if there's lots of competition in the private sector, and we were getting to the stage where when we put up a bus route for tender, we were getting one tenderer, if I can put it like that. So and if we actually decided, if we set a contract, and the contracts have a length of time, varying length of time. Sometimes a bus operator would say, it's not profitable anymore, we're going to give you the contract out, back again, sort it out yourself. Amazingly, they were then the only tenderer at a higher price when it was out for tender again. So you could see that we were being kind of held to ransom, which is why we bought a small fleet of buses, I think half a dozen, which we use for various things, but principally for the school run, which is something we have to do statutorily. So we have to transport children to school. We spend £14 million off the top of my head now on school transport in Somerset, and that was increasing quite rapidly. So we think we've managed to calm that down a little, but we're hoping to go forward with more buses and hoping to reduce the cost. I mean, I know one of the issues at places like Hugh Sex's is, and parents have complained to me about the cost of transporting their child to the school. And they seem to think it's easier and less money to transport the child themselves. I would query that is actually true, but I do understand that if you've got a couple of children going there, then the cost of the school ticket is really quite high.
So that's designed in one lump, isn't it? That's the thing.
Yeah. So
it is hard.
all those things are in the mix, Jen. Okay.
Anybody want to follow up on buses? Emily, did you want to?
No, I was just going to say, I mean, it is very expensive. It's about £800 just from Wedmore to Hugh Sex's, which is a mile. So, you know, I mean,
but I think what you're describing is not the bus fare from here to there. It's the county ticket, which entitles you to go anywhere you like.
Sorry.
yeah.
I'm not
What,
sure
as a
that
child?
applies for the middle
Yeah,
school
but-
though.
As a child, it entitles you to go in
Yeah.
grade 1.
Yes.
But you
Well,
have to
that-
go to school.
But you have to go to school, don't you? I can
But
see
I
the
think-
point if you're a pensioner, but not a
No. But and you must excuse me. I don't know individual details. But I do know that we sell a county ticket which enables the child to travel, I think at weekends as well, anywhere in the county. So it's not just a bus ticket.
I was going to say, I mean, we did send you a letter about, you know, this bus that's only half full, that travels through Wedmore every day.
Yeah.
It's one of your lovely green buses.
Yes.
I mean, are we going to hear one day that, you know, we're going to get a result back from this letter? I mean, what's going to happen? Because we're asking that the parents would pay something towards filling up this half-empty bus.
Yes. I
And
pass that
was-
on to the people who coordinate the
And are we
buses.
ever going to hear anything back? do you
Well-
think? Because this has been going on for months.
And it would alleviate some of the traffic issues from outside Usexes
Yeah.
in Blackford, which is tricky.
Let's not chase that.
So you're saying that if it's only half full, you
Yeah.
could halve the price and fill the bus?
Precisely.
This is what we've asked for. And have less traffic on the road?
Yes.
It
Makes
just
sense.
seems-
You're now assuming that we think terribly logically. like
Yes,
that.
we're hoping
There is a
does.
system.
The bus picks up everywhere else.
Okay, lovely. Are there any other questions for David? Dennis?
David, the traffic calming announcement you just said.
Yeah.
Okay, you very kindly came to the presentation, so we're on the right track what we're doing for that, is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And in fact, Catherine has asked if you wanted a job as a traffic engineer.
There you go.
Lovely. No more questions for David? Super. Okay, David, thank you very much for
Thank you,
coming.
Chairman.
If you'd like to
Thank
stay.
you.
If not,
Have a tea.
get
Tea.
off supper.
Thank you, Chairman.
Oh, lovely, it's me on next, isn't it? 'Cause I'm a district councillor. Right, so this month so far I have attended the Axford Drainage Board meeting where I had to present the Environmental Subcommittee report, which I am a committee member of. Obviously, flooding is a big topic for us. But yes, we just ran through lots of reviews. It wasn't terribly interesting.
No suggestions made?
Well, our suggestions are mainly that we need to get our MPs on board a lot more to rally, you know, to get up to Parliament and just, you know, they can't. What's happened in Wales and in the country over the weekend, you know, we all know that flooding is not going away, so they've got to properly address it. And it will kind of, you know, ties in. I'm trying to get more people to come to these environment meetings about Teelam and Haddon Moor and things. See how, you know, people, you know, want to plant trees, but they can't plant trees on the sides of the reams because that doesn't work. And anyway, so the Drainage Board meeting was just sort of an ex-brew one where the members come along and they talk about local issues, the farmers and the people who pay the rates. I've had a couple of meetings down at Sedgemoor because following one of the planning meetings that I went and spoke about with the Strongbox application, we went, you know, we just kind of felt the neighbourhood plans are being ignored. So I've got Kathy Pearce, who's a Labour councillor. She chairs the Community Scrutiny Committee that I used to sit on. I've got her taking, that's happening in June, the committee are going to scrutinise neighbourhood plans and look into them and see why quite often the planners just ignore the neighbourhood plans, and I think the planners should be on our side. And also Home Finders Somerset, I'm going to get scrutinised as well, which is the online connection. So when you're trying to get an affordable home, you have to go through Home Finders Somerset, and it is a really archaic system, really complicated, and I hear a lot of people very frustrated, and I'm trying to get that changed so that we can get a better system in place. But it's used by about 4 different district councils. 2 of them think it's a great system and the other 2, including Sedgemoor, think it's rubbish. So I'm stirring up a bit of a storm, trying to get these things sorted out and make things easier, because with customer access, which is the great big thing with Sedgemoor at the moment, accessibility is meant to be about the customer. What if the customer can't even get on this Home Finder site, and a lot of these people are quite vulnerable anyway and scared, and some people don't know how to even use a laptop, so you know, you've got to make it easy for people in these situations. So I'm not making myself very popular again. I also chaired another licensing panel where we considered a new application for a premises licence for the Middlezoy Rovers Football Club in Western Zoyland, following objections, but we granted it in the end with various conditions. Will Human also attended that one. Went to the Talking Cafe last week at Nanny Ida's. Now that was really interesting. I met with the health coaches, the two ladies who are, what were their names again, Sonia and Tamsin. I've got some leaflets here, which you can all have a quick look at, but I'd like them back at the end because I'm going to get them all to come and talk to us. Really interesting stuff, especially as we're trying to do all these different things in the village with health and well-being. And I then spoke to a guy called Liam Sweeney, who's a chap down at Sedgemoor, and he's got all sorts of brilliant connections, so I'm going to get them all together at the next Talking Cafe, and actually maybe we can get this thing to happen. So I was very encouraged by that.
People there? Sorry.
No, it was just the girls, myself, and then another lady from a thing called the Philo Projects, where they host people with Alzheimer's that you get to host, so they have to go through their DBS checks and stuff, but
I've been there,
yeah, they get, so you host in your house for a day, maybe people with Alzheimer's or some other, you know, dementia, and it's like, if they haven't got relatives, they can go and have a day at someone's house and eat a meal and chat with other people. It's a really nice thing, so that's a new project. So I'm going to try and get them all to come to a parish council meeting at some stage to explain what they do, because it's very interesting.
What I meant was, were there any old
No.
people in the village there?
No.
The problem is you really need somebody to take people along.
Yeah.
You need
Some said they were going to come, but I think the weather wasn't great, so they didn't. But I said to them that I will get it out there if I can, and we need to advertise it or get, you know, the Isle of Wedmore News. They need to just, so slowly.
See, if they're very shy, they won't come anyway.
Yeah, but I have
and these are
been.
people we want to encourage.
Yeah.
I have been when there have been people there.
Have you? Oh, good.
Yes,
Good.
people, but you know, they need a bit of help to get there.
Yes,
they
they do.
enjoyed it when they were there.
Yeah, and I think it's lovely. So I'm going to get them all
Socialising.
as a team to come and talk to us, and if more people
So if
can
we know
engage.
people next door that are lonely and isolated,
Yeah.
you know, we take them along and introduce them, and then once they've been once, they'll probably feel that they can go on their own then.
Exactly.
It's that
Could
really.
that be mixed with the meals on Tuesday?
It's a different
Different thing, yeah, but you get people to,
Yeah,
to
maybe.
do
Well,
that.
when we get them to come along, we can have a really good discussion with
Yeah.
them and sort of work it out. And other than that, I've had a couple of planning meetings locally with people talking about their plans. That is it. So I'm going to move on because we've got lots on the agenda.
Well, can I just go back to one thing that you said? You said that we're not going to be able to discuss the issues about the neighbourhood plan until June. So really, what that would be now in
It's
June?
not us. It's not. No, it's not what I said at all. What I said was that the chairman of the Community Scrutiny Committee down at Sedgemoor is taking it to the Community Scrutiny
In
meeting in June.
Yes.
Well, they can't do it sooner. There's a next community that's very nice that they're doing it for me anyway. They're going to scrutinise down at Sedgemoor District Council. Neighbourhood plans.
I just think that in the meantime, our neighbourhood plans are being discounted.
Yeah, but
And
if
so
no one,
if they're discounted more than once,
yes, but if nobody like me has raised it, no one's going to look at it. So at least it's going to Sedgemoor, where hopefully it'll go to full council at one stage, and we can
good,
hold them to account.
fine.
Excellent. Right, where are we, Rod?
We're at number
The
3.
declarations of interest. Are there any?
Well, apparently I'm told that I have an interest in the playing fields because my son-in-law, as I've just heard, is the auditor. So I will retire on that one.
Lovely, correct. No, no?
That's it.
Brilliant, okay. Number 4, minutes of the meeting held on the 15th of
Yes,
January.
certainly.
Everyone read them? Anyone got any comments? No, lovely. Where am I signing just here? There. Lovely. Right, matters arising.
There's none part of what's on the agenda, Madam Chairman.
Okay, lovely. Members of the public? Have we got
I
anyone
don't
wants to
think
say
anyone
anything?
wants to say anything there.
No one wants to say anything? Lovely. Number 7, financial matters.
They have been checked by Suzanne and Laura before Laura resigned.
Okay.
And they are correct to the penny.
Super.
And I've asked Emily if she will take over from Laura as the other examiner. So,
Okay.
And she's agreed to do that. So.
Thank you, Emily, that's very kind.
It's not over his task, believe me.
Great. Okay, next on the agenda is number 8, to receive an update from Richard Oliver from GigaClear.
Hello, thank you very much.
Hello, Richard.
Sorry, I've been a bit stingy with my printing today, so I haven't printed out many maps. So, as they say at school, please share.
Is this the one you emailed to us?
Yes, that's the
Yeah,
one.
I've got
Yeah.
it.
Oh, you got it. So the green line on the map shows where the GigaClear connections are actually live now. Thank you. So, as you probably know, GigaClear have been working up in the Rooksbridge area and Crickham. This area on the map that I've just showed is our Crickham build area. So everywhere that's sort of where the red boxes are, that's the area that will eventually go live. The bit that's marked in green at the moment is live now. So I think the civils work has pretty much been completed now, so there's just people out doing some cabling and fibre testing and things. So that's the extent of the network. It unfortunately doesn't cover the Wedmore village at the moment, but we are looking to expand the network in the future, so it may come down here. I heard Mr. Pring saying that his internet connection is very slow, so I'm not sure where he is. So that's essentially my update. Unless anyone's got any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Has anyone got any questions?
What kind of speeds do you get on there?
Our maximum speed is 900 megabits, but most of our customers sort of buy the 300 megabit service, which I think is about £40 a month. So that's our popular one.
Do you overlap with True Speed, or do you do different areas?
Not here, but in Rooksbridge we have True Speed beat us to the building the network in Rooksbridge. So Wedmore, I'm not sure, we haven't got any network in Wedmore here in the village, but I'm not sure if True Speed have got any network down here.
Do you plan to have a network here?
We are looking to expand the network on a commercial basis. This network we built here was with the Connecting Devon and Somerset contract we had, so it was partly subsidised by the government, but the new areas we're moving into are going to be a commercial build. So, for example, we're looking at Claverham up in sort of up near Nailsea and areas like that at the moment. So we are looking for commercial build areas where there's no competition. Obviously, with True Speed already built, we wouldn't overbuild their network. So.
Okay.
Any other questions? Oh, well, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
That's really good.
Quite lightly. Thank you very much for coming by.
Yeah, thank
Thanks
you
for
for letting me
keeping
come
us
along. Thank you.
updated. We really appreciate
Thank you
it.
very much.
Right, item number 9, to consider a community rights to bid application on the Pambroke Inn.
Well, I don't know, Madam Chairman, if many of you might knew nothing at all about bidding rights to bid. I had to look it up on Google, and the owner of the Pamber is looking to sell the property. I think you all know that. And the rules say that if the District Council, Sedgemoor, consider that it is a viable position or property for a village amenity, and then they have to have a petition signed by 21 residents of the parish. And I understand that 21 residents of the parish have signed a petition, and I've got a copy of it here, to go to Sedgemoor, asking that it be considered to be a community building, if you like, an asset to the community.
Yeah.
It's headed up by Stuart Danning's wife, the tree surgeon over there. She signed the application form. Now, we have sent this as a courtesy thing. I rang Sedgemoor and I said to the chap, look, I know nothing at all about this. And he said, well, we get about one every 4 years. He said, we normally turn them down or not interested. And he said, what happens is once the 21 people have signed this petition, it's now up to the owner of the property to offer it to sale to those 21 people. And they've got 6 months to come up with the money to buy that property. They're not going to get a discounted rate. What they get is the market price for it. So he hasn't got to cut his prices, but after 6 months, it goes back on the open market again. So it looks to me, I said to him, it looks to me like a delaying process really to sell the property. And he said, well, that's how we view it. And he said, we just sent it to you, if you want to add any comments to it. And he said, let me have the comments. I mean, as a parish council, I don't think we want to buy a pub. We haven't got the funds anyway, and a pub that nobody goes into, basically, which is why it's on the market, I think.
Well,
But anyway,
Well,
we'll see.
people don't go into it.
Hang on a minute, Sean.
Sean.
Wait a minute, guys. Sean, please stand up first.
Lucy's original stimulus for this was that, which is sort of for sale sign, 40 people have objected to it being sold in the past, which is a bit of a record apparently. So at least there's 40 people who would like to see something done other than it just being delicensed. There are people who are interested in the Pambra who are not in Field or Sedgemoor. They're actually in Mendip. They used to frequent the pub from Yardley and Bleakney quite so there are moves to maybe try and speak to them as well. I don't know about an asset being with or in or out of a boundary, whether you can discuss it. It's in the next.
It's in our parish.
It's in your parish, but is it? I mean, people come to pubs that are not in the same parish at all. I was invited to just come on a Sunday evening, and I just wish them all the best, and that they both got lots of plans and see how far they can take it and what might be viable, or they might find those speakers of the Plunkett Foundation who've done a great deal of work in lots of other community pubs around the country, finding sponsors, either fundraising or putting in experts that help them to do it. And I wish them all the best. It's a huge task. It may work, it may not.
Wouldn't it be lovely?
Yeah. Well, as a hub as well, it's not just about pub. I mean, it could only be open 2 days a week as a pub, and it could be open for lots of other lots of other things that could happen in the community.
Skittle Alley.
Skittle, yeah, there's not many levels.
No.
So I don't know any more than that. But,
Okay. Anybody else got anything else they want to say about it? No? Okay.
So just to sort of, say, recap, what it really means then, that there's like a consortium to buy it.
Exactly.
And it has to be then opened as a public house, certain amount of hours or...
As I understand it from Sedgemoor, the owner of the property at the moment has to offer it to this 21 people to buy. He hasn't got to drop the price. What the price is the price. So he says to the 21 people, you want to buy it, you come up with money. You've got 6 months. At the end of 6 months, if they haven't bought it, it goes back on the open market again. So it's down to these 21 people who signed the petition now to come up with funds or go away.
Is it just the 21 people?
Sorry,
or is it just
it's a minimum of, you have to have 21 people to get a petition.
Yeah,
It's just a number. It could be 121.
Well, that'd be great, wouldn't it? Let's watch this space. Maybe the Pambra will come back to us.
If we know that, once they know that, but if they don't come up with the money, so
it goes back on the open market.
But on the market as a pub, it cannot be as...
No, not at all. Not at all. No, I'm not sure what the planning is now on it.
Yeah, because it came to planning and we refused it. Yeah.
We refused it as a dwelling, didn't we?
Yeah.
To change it back from... So it's still a pub. It's advertised on a pub website for sale as a pub.
Yeah.
So Canberra picked it up, the campaign for real estate.
It was interesting that he said it's quite a viable pub because there's so many people objected to it being closed. You're going to have lots of customers. I thought, was that right? Good spin.
Good argument.
Well, that'd be great.
If it's well read, if it's well run, I mean.
Yes, exactly.
So just watch what happens over the next 6 months.
Yeah, no, I just... Yeah.
Okay, item agenda number 10. To consider a request for an additional grant to the Wedmore Fields Management Committee to complete the first floor of the pavilion.
This is where I retire, isn't it?
You can stay, but you haven't comment.
Yeah.
That's very hard.
Come on, get some character.
Hands in mouth.
Right. Have you all read all the documents and documentation and letters flying around? Do you all understand it?
Well, it's quite difficult from the outside to really get to grips with what's been going on.
Okay.
But I'm getting the gist.
My point is, either tonight we have to either make a decision or we defer this again until we potentially have sorted out our grant fund policy. That's kind of where we're at now, because I don't know whether everybody, we need to get this awards grant. policy in place, but we haven't done that yet. So I'm in mind to think, well, do we defer it to another time when we've got that, and then say to them, right, now we've got this, all our eggs lined up, this is sorted, can you now fill in the form and come back to us? Or do we tonight want to, decide to grant it or not grant it?
I think they're pressing very heavily to get it sorted tonight.
But it's our call.
But yeah, it is our call. I'm just saying that this is, and I think that the problem is that I think they're having sort of queries raised about this, and we have decided to have a policy on grants, which I think is a great thing to do. And I think that in a way there is a problem with making a decision now before we've decided on the grants policy. So it's sort of putting a bit of a chicken before the egg. But as I say, I do think they do want it decided today. Now, I don't know the ins and outs of a lot of the financial aspects of it and some of the issues that have been discussed between various people, I don't know. But I think we've got a bit of a cleft stick on making a decision today if we haven't made a decision on a policy before.
Okay. Well, shall we have a quick show of hands?
We could change the agenda around if we want to, but it doesn't matter. But
well, we could change the agenda around, but then also I think with the grants, I think that needs some fine tuning. So, okay, should we have a quick show of hands if you'd like to defer this until we've got our grants policy in place? Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4.
That's the vast majority.
Any against it? And any abstentions?
So it's carried unanimously.
Okay, lovely. All right, so we're going to defer that until...
Before we move on, Madam Chairman, I've had a freedom of information request from the Chairman of the Players Committee for copies of all emails relating to their grant application, which are passed between the council and the office here.
Right.
Which I've now got 20. I've done it before. I've got 20 days to respond to this, and I should be printing off hard copies of each email message, so I don't give your email address away because they are private to you. But it's worth bearing in mind, if you want to do, everything that comes into the office in email is subject to the Freedom of Information Act. Your own email addresses at home are private, except for Polly's, who's got a Sedgwell one, and David Huxtable, who's got a county council one. They're in the public domain. All the rest of them have got private ones. So I'm not disclosing your email addresses. But if you want to say something confidential, either ring me or send it to my home email address, which is not subject to Freedom of Information, and I can deal with it, and I'll let you have a copy of that tomorrow in case you haven't got it. But just bear in mind that anything you send to the office is subject to scrutiny, and I've now got to go through all the emails back to November and supply them to them at a cost.
Okay, super. Okay, great. Item number 11, to receive a presentation on the speed indicator device from Dennis Riaris. Thank you, Dennis.
Okay. Thank you. This is a little more, I'm going to do this presentation very quickly if everybody wants to go home, but I think it's a little more relevant now because of what David said there about having some money in the system, which could be really good. Now, as a bit of background, I did a presentation to Ian Tomes, who was complaining 3 years ago we didn't do anything. And David came along as well, so David came along to the presentation. We sat for about an hour and a half, and he really liked it. So he's taken it, and he wanted a copy of my slides, and he's now been talking to Somerset already. I'm holding him back slightly because I'm still working with the residents. I have then actually met with all the residents, 20 residents. We filled this place one evening, and I was 2.5 hours here doing the presentation and talking to all the residents on the Cheddar Road. It is work in progress, but I think it's quite important you see some of what we're doing, because the report will be in the next few weeks obviously finalised with the options we've got, and then I'm thinking David's going to have his name on the report because I don't need my name on it, and he can take it forward, and he seems quite keen to do that. Okay, so here we are now, so this is the update on the programme. I'm going to go really quickly. The objective is pretty obvious, it's to improve the pedestrian safety. Remember, this is the one route we have from the village to the cemetery, if you want to walk it. So, there is a history of accidents, etc., etc., and the people living along there can't get their cars out of the drive. This is what happened. This has happened last July. Anybody want to guess how much an accident costs like that would cost Somerset County Council? Somerset District Council. Anyone idea?
65,000.
65,000. You think that's high? What about if there was a death involved? Okay, let me give you the figures. 83,000 for the one you've just seen, 2 million fatal accidents. So in 2017, 1,041 people seriously killed or injured, cost them 94 million. So all I'm after is half of that 83,000 to avoid deaths and problems. So this is what we need to do. I've taken the view that we need a really strong evidence-based case in order to take it through, and there is a lot of, I'm pleased they're going to give me a job, I actually don't want a job there. But actually, there is a lot of stuff which I'm becoming quite good at it actually. This is the Somerset Technical Note. It's 106 pages on traffic calming, which I've had to wade through, and that's all part of it. This also is the process that he described, which is the highway small improvement. There's a piece of paper somewhere. And that is not the chart. That's the top of the chart. That's the chart. Okay? So all you're seeing there is the very first part. But you can see right on the top right, we need the county councillor. Without him, we're stuck. So we really need the county councillor. So that actually is the process chart we're going to use. So here's the methodology. We bought an SID, and we're going to monitor the counts of the speeds to determine baseline figures. We need to know what's going on there. We're going to compare it. You would have noticed that when it's been out there from July through to December, sometimes it was showing, sometimes it wasn't, and you thought it was your car, you thought you were within the limit, and you weren't. It's just that I switched it off. So there was processes where each test took 28 days, 28 days with it not showing, but I was still recording you, especially you, and 28 days when in fact it was recording, because then I can tell how effective the signs are, what we're doing. Okay? The 85th percentile speed is really important, and you'll remember that because I told you what that was. You'll remember what the 85th percentile is.
I know it's important.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, and it's also important to get the Avon and Somerset Police, and I've been working very closely with the Avon and Somerset Police. So here's the results, and I'm only going to give you one or two of them just to show you. There's hundreds. You don't want to see them all. So here we are, I've got my little pointer. Vehicle count versus the speed without the SID being illuminated, and it's positioned at the car park facing the traffic coming into Wedmore. Okay? 28 days from the 5th of July to the 1st of August. 51,000 vehicles past that point. Just going in. There's 50-odd thousand going out. That's just going in, okay? Here's the speeds. There's the 30. No one should be above 30. So all these here are breaking the limit. And here's Suzanne, 8 times, 60 miles an hour, Suzanne. I've got you down there. Absolutely, okay. Now we work, so that's the vehicle counts, and I'm only going to show you one set here because there's hundreds, loads of sets. You don't need to see them all. But from that set of data here, exactly the same heading, except this time we're showing obviously what's called the 85th percentile, which you will remember. I'm not going to tell you now, I haven't got time. But effectively, that is the figure here that is used on country roads for determining speed limits. That's how they use it in Somerset, in England, the world. So that's what they use, 85th percentile. So we need to know what the 85th percentile. What should it be? 30, of course. So you can see that 30, only half the vehicles, 50%, are actually working to the speed limit. Okay? So that's at that position. This one is... now this is with it illuminated, so those are without the signs. This is with it illuminated, 1st of August 29th. I've only got one SID, so I have to swap it around. So this is now same position, but now I'm going to see what that does in terms of improvement. You can't tell from that one, but you can tell from, oops, go back a bit. You can tell from here, what did we have last time? 36, I've got 1 mile per hour improvement. By just looking at the sign, not much. No, not much, not much. But actually, interestingly, Emily, no, we don't have to put your hands up. A number of you here would have gone on the naughty course for speeding. And you will have known there that they tell you that 1 mile per hour can make a difference in terms of your hit. You know, and certainly 5 miles per hour is a big difference. You could be killed or just injured or whatever. So speed is important, so we're getting it down, but that's not a lot, is it? When does the traffic occur? So here we are now, this is over a 28-day period, and here you see the blue is the weekdays, okay? So here's the rush hour in the morning, and here's the rush hour in the evening. You notice the red doesn't have a rush hour because it's weekends, so those are the weekend averages. But notice this red line here, which is the 85th percentile, and notice where it is, because this is the 30 limit. Can you all see the little thing going around? That's the 30 limit, so we're way, way above. So this tells me now that we need traffic calming. Okay? This is the improvement we saw when we switched it on. Suzanne, yeah, a little bit, she sort of decided to go a bit slower. So here we are, we've made an improvement, but of course this is a small number of vehicles, so it only reflects as an average of 1 mile per hour reduction on the 85th percentile. And here you see it down here, from 35.9 to 34.9, which is exactly 1 mile per hour. And we can do the same for going out of Wedmore. So I have all set up figures for going out. Going out is faster, 37.9 down to 37. We've got 2. The vehicles are going very fast out of Wedmore as well. Okay. Okay. Now then, how important is it to reduce this 85th percentile? We'd like to get it down from where it is now, which is around 36 to 39. That's the rough average of all of that, down to 30, 32. How important do we think that is? Well, those that have been on the courses will understand this. This is actually a study based on 56 villages. Okay? So it's quite a good study. If you could reduce it by 2 miles per hour, up to 2 miles per hour, you get 10% reduction in accidents of all severities. If you can reduce it to 3 to 4, you get 14%. 5 to 6, 32. And look at this one, 7. We need to get 7. Half the accidents. All right, now, accident cost £83,000. So, you know, there's didn't need to convince David, he sort of was in there. Okay. What are the options? So the various options, and we have to start with the Somerset Technical Advice Note, but there's a whole bunch of highways acts of Parliament, God knows what, it's all there. It's quite interesting if you're a real nerd, actually. So, but just roughly speaking, this is what I'm trying to do the job for the Somerset people. If we do the job for them, we might get some money. So in here now, they have all the various things, and we look at what they've got. The first one is gateways. This is a gateway as you come into the village. So now you're going along a country road, and suddenly, oh, it's Wedmore, and it's got a big 30, so you kind of feel you're in a village. And this is a limited amount of speed reduction, and really you have to look at other things you can do it, but you're kind of trying to persuade drivers. So this is the start. The next one will be build-outs. Now build-outs are basically one-way systems which you have down by the school, the first school. That's a build-out. You get a much better speed reduction there. But often they like to incorporate a cycle slip road so the poor cyclist doesn't get squashed as they pull out. So they can slip through on the inside. Again, sighting is quite important, and it's most effective with high volume traffic. So actually, build-outs is, we might be able to use it, we might not, but normally 4,000 to 9,000 vehicles a day. And we don't have that. We can see 50,000 over 28 days. We don't have it, but we do have 4,000 at the peak times, so it could help in the peak time. So you have to bear all this in mind. And then finally, these are the ones that do the real slowing down. Round top humps, 13 to 50, very low cost, highly effective, simple to install, and basically you go over at speed, you know about it. If you go over slow. Other things to do, you've got to talk to the police, which we've been doing, you've got to talk to the emergency vehicle services, etc, 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 okay? I know what you're all thinking noise and all the rest of it, so we'll come to that very quickly. Okay, so here's the road. Now I'm just going to take you through some whole things that we've been looking at. So this is, don't try and memorise these, but effectively, this is the old school here, yeah? Okay? This is the village hall right down the other end. So you come round the bend from the village hall, yeah? That's going to be the new entrance into the new... Yeah, Holdness. Okay? Come round here now, there's a bend. Bends are good because they slow traffic down. And now we come into H, which is the car park entrance. And now we're going to move through this area here where these houses have a real problem because of the speed of the traffic. And we're coming here now to the cemetery, and then we're going on basically to here. But actually at the moment, this sign right up here is a 30. This is the 30 sign, and this is the gateway into Wedmore. So we need to look at this now. Maybe the gateway should be right down here. Maybe that should be, as I've suggested here, a 40 rather than a 30. And then we come down to the 30s there. So these are the things that we are looking at. And don't read too much into this. There's nothing firm at the moment. I'm just giving you ideas. Here is the entrance. This is the cemetery here. Yeah. So here we are now. What a perfect place to have a really nice gateway coming in, I think. Quite good. Also, this is the road that if you want to walk to the cemetery, you've got to come down. It's pretty dangerous, actually. Yellow coat I've got, which helps, because they think I'm a policeman. So what do we mean by gateway? Well, something like this, you see. These are gateways. So here I've just mocked this up, you see. Here's Wedmore, right? But here, look at that. You know you're coming into a village. So we need to think about that. That's very prominent to have something like that. And this will help. This will get 2 or 3 miles per hour down, which is important. So now going back to this now, so we've looked at this area here. Now we're looking at this area in here. There's a number of things we can do in this area. We can start to just put more signs up. We can start to look at potentially some build-outs. We can start to look at some humps. We can start to look at 20-mile-per-hour zones. All of these things I'm looking at, trying to come up with the best solution. But I'm now working with the 20 residents along the Cheddar Road. We're working as a team because they have to get signed up to it. Then, of course, it's got to go for public consultation, as David said. It's got to be all those things. But if we've actually done this and got pretty much everyone on board, okay, Somerset repeated, but it's a lot easier. Okay, so very quickly now, here, you recognise this. This is going out of Wedmore, yeah? And that's that area where these houses are. So you could see a situation where you just put a build out there, and you've got a little cycle slip road as well. One possibility for slowing down the traffic. Okay. Then we look down this area a bit further down now. So that yellow thing there was a build out, and you might think, okay, we could put some speed control here. We could put some humps there. This would really slow the traffic down. So here's that little bit of road now. So we're now going into Wedmore, past these houses where these poor people can't get their cars out or in. And here's the entrance to the car park, and this is what sort of speed humps would look like. Yeah, I just knocked it up. Okay, but that's not all we're looking at. David hasn't seen this next bit, but now I'm talking to the residents, I'm looking at other options. So for example, you've probably seen this one, when you go in on the Glastonbury Road to Mere, they've got a very big sign there that says, you know, residential area 30, and I'd like to know a little more how effective that will be. So that's something I'm looking at. Here's another possibility where these are the existing streetlights. Now, you're probably aware that where there are streetlights, it's 30. Those that have been on the course know streetlights mean 30. It also means you cannot have a 30 sign in a streetlight. If you're in an area where there are streetlights, you can't put a 30 reminder up. Okay? By the way, just for your information, see my street light there as a white thing, yeah? That's when you go out of the village and you see that white thing with a black line. That actually is a street light, white, with a black line saying no more. That's what it means. That is the reason for that. That's what that means. Okay? So here now is a suggestion, a couple more street lights down here, because one of the things I'm coming up with is the idea of, if we really want to do some serious calming here, we probably want to look at this as being a pedestrian route from the village to the cemetery. No? So like they said here, they want to put calming outside schools. We have a justification for saying you can't walk safely to the cemetery. Now it's not quite as powerful as a school, but we could look at that. So it's just some ideas I'm playing around with. There are posts already existing here. There's a post there and a post there. You can just see the shadows on the ground, see them? Okay? Now, these have to be 38 metres and no more apart when you have traffic calming. Lots of regulations. We're okay. They are 38 metres. So here now is, for example, some work I managed to do on speed humps. So if you have speed humps, you've got to convince the people living in the houses they're not going to get shaken to bits and the noise. Interesting. Look at this. This is really interesting. If you had just cars going past, on speed humps, it's a 40% reduction in the noise. Isn't that amazing?
Because they're going slower.
Because they're going slower. And so, if you had, for example, like 10% of the, here, this yellow one, you're going to get something like a 10% roughly reduction in the noise. So it's the commercial vehicles that create the noise over the speed hump. So I need to do some tests now and go and measure how many commercial vehicles versus cars there are. Okay.
What's the noise going over the speed bumps? Is there any record of that at all?
Yeah. Oh yeah, loads and loads and loads and loads of loads, absolutely loads.
I'm just thinking of the people who have been getting close to where...
No, this is the noise. What we're saying is, say you live in one of those houses next to them, right? If we introduce the speed bumps, your noise level is going to go down, and it'll only ever go up here if in fact you've got 25% lorries in your traffic flow.
What I'm talking about is the noise actually going over them there.
That is the noise. No, that isn't.
It's slowing down onto a standstill.
No, that's the noise of it.
Yeah, I think
that's the overall noise.
No, right, I'm not talking about the vehicle though, I'm talking about the bump, is it
the wheels?
Yeah, this is the overall noise level. These are measured in decibels down here. So this is a test of a road, flat, with the noise of the cars going over at 30 miles an hour, say, and then they're going over at 20 with the speed humps. And it's a reduction in noise because of the speed of the vehicles. It's quite amazing, isn't it? Depends on the speed hump. These are round top speed humps, 75 millimetres by 3.7 meters wide. 3.7 meters wide. If you go for sinusoidal or flat, it's not always as attractive as this. That's why in this document here from Somerset, they only go for these 75 millimetre, 3.7 metres.
Some of them are quite vicious, aren't they?
Yeah, they would not be good. So I mean, it is. I thought this would be an easy job. I really did, but it's quite complicated. And so, you know. Anyway, this is the analysis there. And the other issue is the question of vibration on the ground. So that depends on the subsoil. So we've done some analysis on that already. And on our subsoil, for any speed humps, we wouldn't want any vibration would be between 3 and 11 meters. So we're not having any properties that would be within 20 meters. So we're going to cover ourselves on that. So there's, we've been doing that analysis. Okay. I said we'd be quick. So data has been collaborated with the police. They've been out and did checks, so they know we're on the right thing. We've witnessed it on site. They have recognised the need for traffic calming, and they said we should submit it, which we're doing through David. Okay, and they will continue to work with us. Okay, and then basically the future now is keep working with the police. Lots of discussions now to get a viable plan, a proposal with the residents, get David to adopt it and get it in for you guys to see the final thing at some point, the whole thing, and then get it submitted to Somerset Highways, and then we can move to another road and start it somewhere else. But the fact that he's got money coming in the autumn is really, really good, so he seems quite keen on it. And I think that's probably it.
Thank you, Dennis. I think yes, because you've done all the work for them. It's very attractive. It's incredible. And tell me, so how are the residents of Cheddar Road, quite close to where the humps would potentially be? How have they received?
Yeah, they were here till 9:30 on the evening, started at 7. And they all went away saying we're all pretty much on the right page, we just need to look at the options and can you carry on. So that's what I'm doing. So I've got them as a group, they've all agreed to talk, so they're all talking, and I'm hoping to get them to measure how many lorries there are versus cars there, because they're right there. I said when they're having a coffee they can just do the count. So yeah, they're all on board. So I think it's a
fantastic piece of work. Thank you very much.
Looking forward to the field side one day to get the group, the people there interested in.
Yeah, I think, when I did the original flowchart, I think everybody went, oh, but there's actually a lot of work. But of course, this work, 80% of this will carry over to the next one, because this is a learning curve. I had to learn all this. I'm not a traffic engineer.
You are now.
I've got a PhD in fluid dynamics. I haven't got anything to do with traffic.
Thank you immensely, Dennis. It's fantastic. Okay, moving on to number 12, disabled access into council
I
rooms.
suggested that we don't talk about this evening because I've only got one quote, which is about 4,500 from Luton.
Okay,
So I'll give you another one.
super, alright, we'll bring that up in another meeting. Thank you.
Can I just go back a sec? What happens now, Dennis, on this?
On what?
On the results of your...
Right, so so I'm now continuing with options. I've sent off 10 pages of stuff today on options to the residents.
Right.
Because I want to get their agreement as to, compromise as to what they want to do, because they have to sign off on it. And then I will propose him to discuss that with David again, if that's okay, Chair, just to go.
Yeah.
And then I want it to be his report then, you see, so he can take it on to some. He's already got the bit between his teeth. Actually, he's gone off and tried to get some, support.
So that goes to Somerset, basically.
Yeah, that goes to Somerset. But the parish needs to see the final document and read it through. Obviously, need comments, but
The parish or the council?
Parish Council, but there would have to be you have to have a consultation with them, because if you put speed humps in, there is a requirement to have a consultation in the village. You have to declare it, you might have to do it on the village hall. There's all sorts of things you've got to go through.
Suzanne loves a consultation.
There's a process to go through, but and then Somerset will do that process.
So what's the timeline?
3 months consultation.
I think in reality, his idea about having this all ready to fire in the autumn is about right.
Oh, right, okay. Well,
yeah, I mean, I should be finished in a month or two.
Yeah.
But in fact, I can now move that off to somewhere else and start measuring.
Writing this down in autumn. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you.
I think Dennis was very frustrated that it wasn't doing this. After all the work he's done, thank God.
Yeah. Okay, agenda item number 13, to consider adopting a policy, to listen to you again, a policy for awarding grants from council funds. DB, over to you again.
Well, just a quickie, the starting point with this was in fact after I went to the Playing Fields Committee. Neil asked me to come, you asked me to come. And then Neil was going, so I said to Neil, I won't come. He said, no, I'd like you to come. So I went, and afterwards he asked me to do the short report which you've seen on the Playing Field. I did a short report. And he also asked me if I could produce a draft policy and procedure. So I asked him, is there a policy and procedure? Because that could be much easier to assess their grant application if we've got a policy notice and we don't. So I said, okay, I said, but it will take a couple of weeks, which it has taken a couple of weeks. So what you've got here is just a draft based on quite a number around the country of different policies and procedures, including Sedgemoor's, where I felt that we've got something that we can work on to produce. And it was basically a policy and procedure and an application form. Okay, that's what it is. And I think it would streamline it, make it much easier. The only thing I would say, there have been some comments from Sue and from you. I don't want people to get hung up with business plan. This is a business plan for a £6 million business, and this is a business plan for putting in a new kitchen with the Scouts. Yeah. It's just, what you want to do, how you want to do it, who is it going to benefit, what the cost is, etc., etc. But I just want to draw your attention to the finance side. Again, that's not complicated either, because it is about saying we only should be, in my opinion, giving grants that are needed when it's needed. So I would say to you now, we gave a grant to the Scouts for £1,000, but did you realise they've got £86,000 in their bank account when you gave that grant? Did you realise that? No. So would that have changed your mind?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, actually, they haven't got 86. I have no idea what they've got. But the point is, neither do you know what they've got in the bank account. So, in other words, we're not prying. What we're saying is, we really want for organisations to come along where we can justify it, then we're giving it. It's all about justification, because otherwise you're going to get taken for a ride. I mean, they could have 86. You don't know. You're going to go home and worry now.
It's about sharing.
But
it's about sharing it out fairly as well.
Exactly.
Tell me who's often been asking you for money. I think this is absolutely essential.
I agree.
Absolutely essential.
I'm very surprised we haven't got one in place.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'd like to suggest that those that are interested in writing this sort of, any other nerds around that would like to participate, we could.
I think it definitely needs a bit of extra work because I think in places it's probably a bit scary and could potentially put some people off. So what I propose we do is we have a little subcommittee, a little working party of no more than 3 people to sit down, hammer it through, work it out, and then come back to us with it, and then we can all hopefully agree it. So have I got anyone happy to do that?
I'm
Dennis?
loving it.
Joe? Brilliant. Nanton, Joe, Dennis?
That's 3.
Perfect. 3 of them. That'll do.
Can I ask one more question?
Yeah.
I had a feeling that the planning board committee were asking for SIL money.
They were originally, but they're not anymore.
Can you clarify the procedure for SIL and the procedure for just money from the Parish Council as a
The
grant?
Parish Council grant money is set in the budget each year. When the chairman and I set the budget, which is approved by the council.
So this is what Dennis is talking about.
Forget SIL money for the time being. This money for the playground is come from Parish Council funds. We've allocated £12,000 in the budget this year for grants.
Right.
Okay, it could be a little bit more, a little bit less, doesn't matter. SIL money is money which we get from Sedgemoor twice a year, depending on the amount of properties which have had planning applications passed in the parish. And it's very restricted to what you use it for. You can only use it for certain things.
That's what I'm interested in.
Yeah.
What it's
I'll give you a chapter and verse on that, but it's very limited what you use it for. It's also very limited what we're going to get, because if somebody doesn't carry on with their planning application, they might sell the house and just move away, we won't get the SIL money. So we get SIL money as soon as the first spade is stuck in the soil, if you like.
Yeah.
But if that planning application is not followed through, we don't get the money. I've got a rough idea of what we're going to get over the next 12 months, but it's a rough projection, that's all.
So am I right in thinking that we've got £12,000 a year?
That's what we've budgeted.
That's what we've
That's in the
budgeted.
budget.
And the planning board committee are asking for 8.
They were asking for 8, and it was suggested they had 4. They did over 2 years, 4 this year, 4 next year. That's right. But that's for the benefit of the camera, that's not been agreed. That was just pure suggestion. It was a suggestion by the ex-chairman who's now gone.
And I say that on that same point, in order to be able to award SIL money, we need to put together what's called an infrastructure delivery plan. So that was item 20018, and we did agree at the last meeting we would have a small committee to put together an infrastructure delivery plan, which is really very much about the neighbourhood plan. It's taking the neighbourhood plan items, and there is a process, unfortunately, a process to go through there to create our infrastructure delivery plan. We should do that in consultation with other interested parties in the village and advertise it in the Wedmore News or whatever, get input from people, so that, and that was agreed actually that there would be a small committee, and it really needs to be, in my view, and I did say this at the last meeting, it needs to be spearheaded by the chair, because it's quite important. It's going to be £110,000 of investment, and we have to do it properly, and we have to demonstrate to Sedgemoor that we're doing it properly. So that is slightly different. That infrastructure delivery plan is about where we would allocate the money, in what sectors, how we would do it, how people would apply, etc. Then it's slightly different to the procedure for the grants, yeah? So that we did discuss that, and there is a note that was issued, Rod, you issued the note about the infrastructure delivery plan. I'm happy to do that, and others might be as well, to be on that team, but it kind of needs kicking off, because Neil, I think, we're going to kick it off. And
Well, it's just, yes, I've gone a bit flat at the moment, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And other events have overtaken
They
this.
have, okay.
Yeah, and I've been a little bit busy.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
So does that have to be a separate committee to the other committee we just discussed, do you think there should be 2?
It's quite possible that we could link the 2 together, actually. I don't know. We do have names down here already, don't we?
I can't remember who it was.
They've got Suzanne and Joe and yourself.
And what about the last time? I think he's talking about the previous one.
DB, SM,
Suzanne Matters.
ST,
Sean.
AL,
That's
No.
no.
SW.
Sue Warren.
That was the team there. I mean, that might be a little bit big, to be honest, to start with.
Yeah.
I think maybe the chair could reflect on this need.
Okay. Well. Okay. I'll talk to you about that and then.
Yeah, we'll need to get the date quite soon.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I think the grant money, although it's entirely separate, I think in a way, if you do know what other money is coming in, it might have a bearing on how you fiddle around.
I think so potentially.
But you know how you budget.
I mean, any application, whether the application is coming in for SIL or for grant, it's going to be treated the same way. It's just that the criteria you're, if you like, you're matching it against for the grant might be slightly different to the SIL. If the SIL is about the neighbourhood plan, then it might, that's about, because effectively SIL money is for infrastructure. So, for example, the footway from the village to the first school, Pilkin Street, is perfect for SIL money in my opinion. Whereas the SIL money doesn't really fit, the SIL money giving £1,000 to the Scouts, which I think is the normal grant. But so it's just a question of how you then tailor the
would it be a good idea to kind of just, like you said, combine that group and discuss the same things? Potentially I need to sit on it too.
It's really all about making sure that we do the neighbourhood plan and the SIL money goes on the neighbourhood plan, isn't it?
It's primarily to do with the neighbourhood plan, in my belief, because that is a whole list of things there.
That's right.
Okay, brilliant. So yeah, we'll sort a meeting out.
Can I just ask a quick question on that? If the Plainfields Association are hoping that if we're deferring our answer to the following meeting and we will only have our proposal for the grant application form by the next meeting, we won't be making a decision, will we, for a while?
No.
Okay. Just
So I thought we should probably.
No, I mean a decision about their grant, you mean?
Yeah, because they'd have to.
Yes,
once
they
we
put
agreed
it in.
the application, then they would have
yes.
to.
So hopefully at the next parish council meeting we can all agree on the policy,
and
the grant policy, and then
they can
fill out their form and come back to us in the future. Yeah?
Yeah.
Everyone happy?
Yeah.
Well, the grant policy has been sent round to us, hasn't it?
Which one?
The grant policy.
It's a proposal.
So if we all look at that and have our own opinions, then it'll be a very quick decision.
Hopefully.
Yeah,
well, I think
that's why I've got the working party.
We should aim to send it out to the working party at least a week before the meeting.
Then you can all look at it
and agree it and then nod it through. Fabulous. Okay, thank you. Right, number 14, to consider climate change and other green issues in general. Sean?
Just the minutes from the last Green Wedmore meeting pertinent to the area. There's a food trail going ahead this summer with lots of local places where you can eat and places where food is produced. Hector's the Butchers are doing a food trail sausage, apparently, which is quite interesting. Wellington Woods is going to be planted by the Forest Food Projects in November, who are giving generously of their own time for free, and hopefully we'll be able to fundraise with Forest Food Projects based, I think, in Shepton, to do more planting. More car charging points are needed in Wedmore, and it's interesting to know that in Bath and North East Somerset, they are obliged to provide electric charging points whenever they put in new parking areas. Somebody brought that up at the meeting, it was very interesting. So that just happens, they don't have to bid for them, they just do them. The Green Wedmore have a new website which is a lot more accessible apparently, with tabs at the top for various parts of the group. As you can now get 6 pence per unit on the new proposal sort of feed-in tariff, that is obviously going to perhaps start to stimulate people who might put solar panels on. In the past they thought, well, why should I do it? I'm getting absolutely nothing. In fact, you're subsidising the government, but it's now going to be 6 pence a unit. So that might help other people decide to offset the costs of putting them up. Many people commented on the amount of rubbish along the side of roads, but you can't do a big tidy up now because it just gets covered in vegetation, you can't see it, so we have to leave it till November, so we sort of missed the January, February where the scouts and everybody goes and collects, so it's not going to happen for ages. But people more than me saying, especially going out to Cheddar, it's particularly bad. Maybe cyclists notice it more, or maybe not, people doing 70 miles an hour. There was a local initiative to provide a catering kit for anybody that wants to have a party with tough, reusable plastic kits. I don't know where they're going to advertise that, maybe now Wedmore News, so you just take this thing away so you don't throw away tons of stuff every time you have a chance. Very good idea, yeah.
There's something on the Wedmore First School Mums and Dads Facebook page.
Alright.
There's somebody already doing it.
So it's not a green group, I mean it's just...
No, but there's a couple of initiatives. There's somebody out on the A38 near Weir who's doing it for the whole area. And somebody on the Wedmore group is doing it. So some of these things are already started independently.
Yeah, yes, of course. There's a hire a bike scheme was proposed by Sue Brown. Fundraising would be needed for 6 bikes and a lock-up cabinet. So somebody's actually doing that, which is obviously meeting a lot of the sustainability targets straight away. A member of the group is going to buy a brand new electric car, and he's just trying to find ways of insuring it so anybody can go for a test drive in his car around the levels. And this is because he wants to sort of spread the word. The car's costing not a lot of money, but he can't seem to find an insurance company that will say you want loads of other of your friends to go for a drive around it. So, but and maybe he will. Just a couple of other things. There was a very good open forum 2 weeks ago at Wedmore Village Hall, adapting the levels. They're not, I was going to say awash with money, but that's not a good term. They are having another meeting which is just for councillors in March, so I can't remember the date. March the 3rd at Village Hall. It's just for councillors.
Swan.
The Swan, sorry. And it's Nick Pyatt from Trios, who lives in the area, who's doing a talk about the methodology for offsetting emergencies for the next 30-40 years. Nick Pyatt is his name, and his methodology was adopted by the City of London apparently, so he knows what he's talking about. There is a meeting after this by the Eco-Resilience Group. There's books to be given out if anybody wants to use. I don't know how long we'll be able to meet, but just to give us something to latch on to for our next meeting.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Sean?
Or anybody.
I did go to the climate thing in the Village Hall, and it was very good. I thoroughly enjoyed the sound bit.
Yes,
it was
amazing.
absolutely excellent. Yeah, it was really good.
To visualise it is quite difficult on the map.
So should we just update the group on the fact that the Eco-Resilience subcommittee have met now once, so we've had one meeting. I don't know if everyone saw what kind of came out of that meeting, but basically we put together a few of our our aims, so to raise awareness and engagement of local issues possibly caused by climate heating, to list and prioritise possible projects to focus on locally, for example water ducts or insulation, to work with the Green Wedmore Group and Somerset County Council, particularly in regard to taking the village of Wedmore to zero carbon and reducing fossil fuels used by any council property or services and also private individuals. So I think the next thing for us will be to identify a couple of tangible projects that we can kind of focus on.
Yeah, or maybe get something out to the whole of Wedmore, because they've probably got great ideas. I really like this one, which I sent everybody a copy of the Danish.
Yeah.
The Danish. Did you see the video of the
It
Scottish
was lovely.
There's loads more videos. And it's called, what's it called?
I don't think I can pedal it.
It's called Cycling Without Age.
Take out for a ride.
It's
Take you for a ride.
Take it for a ride. Yes. They identified people that are saying you're going out for a day and they take them in their car to a coffee shop or a garden centre, and they take them back in the car and then they put them back in their room. And they actually never breathe air. So this is a remarkably good product. They cost €8,000, but they come with all the training, and they're electric now. They never used to be. And apparently, judging by the people, I mean, this is just one idea of what's possible. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but it's certainly, we need to maybe go to all the homes, And ask them when they part fund it. And,
It's a lovely idea.
Especially once you've got the traffic calmed.
Yes. And then do on the village
Over those
side.
speed
We'll go
humps.
out.
They'll think they're on the dodgems.
Brilliant, right, let's move on. Agenda item number 15, to consider the annual maintenance grants for the village halls.
Yeah, these are people who don't ask for money, but they get them every year. So we've always given the village halls, Field, Blackford and Wedmore, £500 a year as a sort of maintenance grant. We've done it actually I've been here the last 7 years. So I hope that somebody proposed we do £500 again.
Propose anyone?
So they don't ask for money, but we give it. So.
Second, brilliant, thank you. Second, Judy. Great, number 16, to consider a worthy recipient of the Henry Butt Trophy.
I've had three nominations. The voting will be done next meeting. The three nominations I've had so far are Jessica Healy, who obviously retired from the council after 150 years of the council. Sorry, Cameron. Bob Selwood, who chaired the neighbourhood plan, and also the whole neighbourhood plan committee. So I've got 3 nominations so far. But anybody else is welcome to put them in. There's something in the other Wedmore news has gone out, so I might get something from that. It'll be done by a secret ballot at the March meeting by the councillors, so you decide who is going to be the recipient.
Okay. Great, lovely. 17, right. Issues and questions raised by councillors. Rod says not too many, please. Matt,
What?
are you still awake? Lovely, darling. Have you got any questions? Queries? Anything? Anybody come to you? Anything annoying you? No? Brilliant.
Yes, everything's annoying me.
Personal life, just...
Those, I said to you about the roadworks, they annoy me. The servicing they did.
Okay, but, yeah, okay, that's...
That needs sorting out.
Right. But no one in the village has come to you about anything, and... Great. Pete?
Not particularly, no.
Andy?
I don't think so. There's something, but perhaps it'll come back to me as it
Oh, I don't know whether we can come back to
You only get one go.
Suzanne?
Yes.
No, I agree about the notices for the road closures. It really should say something that Wedmore is still open for business, but also it's a shame that we can't say that the cars can come in, because it's only the lorries that have to be using the same sort of road. But I mean, so many people are being put off coming into the village, but all they've got to do is, at the moment, go around Pud Street and back into the village. You know, it's a pity that, I mean, these road closure signs for Wedmore are in Highbridge and goodness knows what else. It's absolutely ridiculous for the village to have to suffer these so often these days.
Well, that's David Huxtable. You know, there's the things that county councillor needs to hear.
So we better put it in next time.
Or
do you
email
him?
Yeah,
do. Okay,
super. Sean?
Just two quick ones. Neil was, I think, coordinating the Shell Housing initiative up on Coldnose. I don't know if he's still doing that. He was doing some work, I think, with Centre for Sustainable Energy, I think, and Steve. They were both involved in that. And I don't know if somebody else is taking that now, or...
No, I mean, Neil just resigned and
dumped it all on my door.
Left alone.
Yeah, and he was coordinating a lot of work with the Worthington Wood, the planting.
Yeah, okay.
I think they've got to discount Neil completely. He's not a councillor anymore.
No, I know he's not, but I mean, is that something which the council does, or it was just him, or should somebody else do it?
Take it on.
He was doing it on behalf of the council, was he not?
Yes, I think so. So potentially I'm just going to have to fill his shoes for the time being. So do you want to ping me some emails and maybe we get together for a coffee?
Yeah.
And you can fill me in on what he was doing.
Because I know he was speaking to Vanessa as well, because she was getting the free planting in there, but they needed a map where the services were. So.
I seem to have inherited his work. So
okay.
Just ping me an email and we'll get together for a chat.
Yeah.
Jackie? Dennis?
I've issued quite a lot of sort of reports and due diligence stuff out, and all this. And I'm aware that not everyone's perhaps got a business background or finance background, so you may not know the difference between an audit and an examination of accounts and what the implications are. Please call me. You know, I'm very approachable, and I'll explain exactly in simple terms what it is, because it's important we do understand these sorts of things. So just give me a shout. My phone's now working, it doesn't crackle anymore, so that's good.
Yeah. Joe?
No.
Emily?
I just have this
usual from Blackford about Snugfield Lane.
Well,
But there was a meeting, wasn't there?
I emailed them. I did email them again. Liam got back to me and he said, "Oh no, they've completed the work in Snugfield Lane." So I said, I can't remember what my response was, but I said, if that's what you call finishing a job, then oh my god. Basically, he said they're going to send someone out to assess it again, and I said, the potholes are terrible, so sort it out. Is that your main bit, or is it still about cleaning the road?
It's both, I think.
Yeah, I see them all the time when I'm getting milk, so I just nudge them.
Yeah.
But yes, Highway said they'd finished, and I said, no you haven't, so get back up there and finish it.
Cool. And yeah, there's little they can do. It's winter and
yeah, it is. I'm with you.
There was also, I went to a presentation from Mickey Green from the Somerset Waste Partnership, and which was really interesting. Somerset is doing very well, but could still do better. So there were some really interesting things like your average black bin in Somerset is 30% food and garden waste, which is clearly not where that waste should be. So that's something they're really working on, trying to educate people. And it's all about educating people.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. I will forward it to Rod so he can send it to everyone because it's worth a read. And then, I'm not sure if this is what Sean was talking about, so there will also be another presentation from Nick Hyatt on the 8th of April at the Swan, but there's also another climate, sorry, not climate adaptation, levels, levels, that's on the 3rd of March,
yes.
So just to be clear the date,
Yeah.
At the 3rd of March, also at the Swan, so both at the Swan.
One's councillors and the other's the public, don't you?
That's right, yes, yeah.
And they're both on the same night?
No.
Oh, good.
So one that's open to everyone is the 8th of April.
Right.
And the councillor one is the 3rd of March, Tuesday. It's a Tuesday.
Okay.
And then I also went on Saturday, so following Somerset County Council's climate emergency, they've had a series of events in the districts. I couldn't go to the Sedgemoor one, so I went to the Mendip one, see how things are done over there. But
you were huge disappointed.
It was good actually. Wales Blue, there were some lovely children from Wales Blue talking about, how the adults are ruining the world for them. No, it was really good, and some interesting ideas from that as well. But and they were obviously trying to get feedback from people, so it was quite good. They had lots of little things you could write, comments on, so yeah, it'd be interesting when they let people know what the feedback was, I guess. Anyway, yes.
Thank you.
Judy?
Alice?
Can I just come back?
Oh, I don't know. Can you? Any of it's great.
It was a long time ago, but I went to a day's talk on reimagining the levels, which is about parish councils, projects to grow trees effectively. And it was quite interesting because it was in Westminster, just outside Taunton, and they were talking about huge swathes of land that they managed to buy, and they were putting in thousands and thousands of trees, which was all incredibly impressive. And then they said, well, these trees are going to be going around 6,500 new houses are going to be built here. So we talk about sill and infrastructure and all this. That's where a lot of the money is coming from, as well as Hinkley Point and other places. And I think it was a great day, a lot of interesting information there. They did pointers as to where we might be able to get some money, which you might sort of be able to sort of chase up on. But the critical thing is where you get places to buy, to plant trees, and where you get the money to plant them in the first place. That still is a little bit low, and it's always the big sort of issue really.
Well, there used to be more trees out to them, weren't there, till who cut them all down? Was it English Nature?
Natural England.
Where was it?
What do you call it? Tiller and Tavern.
Oh really? Oh right.
Yeah.
Right.
No, they cut them all down. So there used to be loads of trees out there.
Yeah. No.
So
why did they cut them down?
To stop the buzzards.
What? Buzzards. Oh, I have very dead buzzards.
We were encouraging buzzards.
Well, do you know what I mean? It's, gone on old planting trees, Tillam's marvellous and all that sort of stuff. Well, yeah.
Wow.
Can't plant trees out there, so cut them down.
That's
ridiculous. Can I just come back?
I don't know. Anybody else want to come back?
When I'm writing to David Huxtable, can I also mention to him that the finish on Church Street, I don't know whether you've noticed it, but really some of it is so bad. For some unknown reason, they've left about sort of that much not tarmacked, whereas another place, they've gone beyond that line and gone into somebody else's. It's really, really badly
Write
done.
what you like.
So can I say that from the Parish Council that we're not satisfied with the way it was finished? I mean, you know, they should have a pride in their work. And there's no pride there.
Right, correspondence.
Only one, so it's very little.
Excellent. Okay, committee reports. Cemetery.
No, I've got nothing to say about the cemetery.
None at all, no.
Facilities, allotments and footpaths.
Yes, Joe and I have had a meeting.
Hooray.
And we've walked around the allotments and we've got a few ideas which we're chewing over. We're going to get a little agenda together, aren't we? And we're going to think about having a meeting with the allotment holders maybe in April.
That's super.
And
I have a list of email addresses for a lot of
well, I want to come and see you because I need to talk to you about things like the tenancy agreements and water and all the things that are in place now.
Well, my office is always open.
That's brilliant, because I heard they had a bit of a wish list, so that's great news, girls.
But there's things that we need to put in place first as well.
Okay, splendid. Finance and general purposes?
No, nothing at all.
Nothing? Housing? No, nothing on housing. Highways, car park and brook. Okay, so I got an email from Catherine today, Tyson from Highways, telling me that they are going to, you ready Suzanne? Extend the double yellow lines in Glanville Road. Extend the double yellow lines to get to the village hall, outside the door, and they are going to do them outside the Borough Venture opposite Church Street. One single yellow line outside Wayne Shop to deter people from parking there. I am also going to just get back to her because going back to the resurfacing and everything, my understanding was the double yellow lines at the bottom of Church Street were meant to go around the corner a bit and they're not. So I've taken some good photographs of people parking badly and chased her up on that, but they are doing stuff for us and it's good. We're getting there.
But the yellow lines aren't doing anything though, are they?
Yeah,
they are for some people. I also asked her, lots of people are still parking, so I sent her an email last week saying, you know, most people get deterred, you're nice people. Lots of people who are rushing into the pharmacy or going to get their paper still disregard it. I don't, you know, deliveries have got to make the deliveries, that's fair enough. So I just said to her, could you get them round ticketing, please?
Yeah.
Because
I haven't
the sooner you get some
seen
tickets.
any difference. Outside my place, the cars are still parked there.
I see them at night parked there, which is quite annoying, but I have noticed generally, but there are still people who won't abide by them. But once they start getting ticketed, then fab.
Yes,
I mean, today I left my car at the top of Church Street and then walked home because there was cars all parked on the double yellows, so the lorries no one could pass.
We could never say we were going to stop them, but I think the majority of law-abiding citizens will be deterred from parking on them. And then once they get a ticket,
after a month, usually after a month they'll have a settling period, then they'll come in and start ticking.
And then great, once people start
getting
some tickets, then brilliant. So that was my news on the highways. Car park, don't know anything about the car park or brook, because that's not my domain, really. But planning
committee meeting next Thursday, not Wednesday. Thursday, 7:30. I've sent the agendas out today.
Okay. Reports from representatives on committees. Isle of Wight News.
No, nothing to say, it's fine.
Yeah, good, lovely. Play areas. Oh yes, we did have a meeting, didn't we, girls?
I think we've...
have we talked about that since? Yeah. So we've got nothing to talk about. We've got another one coming up at my house next Sunday, or the 1st, haven't we? Something like that. Yeah, we have. Yeah. Okay. Nothing else then. Sal.
Nothing at all. Sorry.
Wedmore playing fields management.
Nothing at all.
Nothing. You're okay. Lovely. Village halls.
Meeting next week.
Super. Great.
Blackford's meeting tonight.
Is that? Oh.
Well, yeah, I'll go back for a minute.
Okay, super. Item number 20, matters of report and items for the next meeting.
I've got one thing.
Okay.
Just to let you know, of course, we've got 2 vacancies at the moment. Neil Ellis was a Blackford ward councillor, and I've advertised on the Blackburn notice board. There is a time scale. Suzanne has very kindly spoke to David Ewins, who most of you will know, I think, who did all the finger posts renovation work. And David's very interested in becoming councillor.
Lovely, that's
he must have twisted his arm far more than I could.
He obviously had such a lovely time when he came to see us.
Yeah, and he's a good applicant at the moment for Blackburn. But we have to wait till the 4th of March in case other applicants come in. And then tomorrow I am advertising the Wedmore one, so...
Okay, we'll get the word out, people.
What finger posts?
Sorry?
Signposts.
The other signposts, they've all been painted and renovated.
When are they going to put the up at Sand?
Oh, they've got to make new arms for that. The Forge at Easton are doing it. They've done the one down the other end. The other one down by West End, that's an old heritage one. That was paid for by the Heritage Trust, and the Sand one's been paid for by the Heritage Trust as well. But they're making new arms for it, that's what I know. I think all the painting's been done.
Yeah.
Mostly painting, yeah. But
It's
not a 5-minute job, you know.
If anybody has got any matters to report for the next meeting, could you get in touch with Rod? Super duper. Right, spot on. Actually 1 minute to 9 o'clock. Thank you all for coming. Meeting closed.
I'm going to turn the camera. Thank you.